Hello friends, welcome to Dungeons & Dragonfly, where I adapt various characters for use in D&D. I'm Dragonfly9078, and today I'm building everyone's favorite IKEA shark, Blahaj. So what do we want from this build? Well, sadly Blahaj does not have much lore of his own, so instead he's going to serve as a stand-in for stuffed animals in general. That means we'll need to be there for our child, comforting them, playing with them, and protecting them from the monsters in the closet. Looking over at ability scores, I'll be using the standard point array. If you want to roll for stats, that's fine, just make sure your strength and charisma are high enough to multiclass. Starting off with a 13 in strength. We don't really need it for much beyond our multiclass, and we are in fact made of fabric. Similarly, we don't have hands or legs, so we'll dump dexterity. Constitution can be 14, kids can play rough sometimes, and we're learning along with them, so we'll make intelligence 10. Our 12 can go into wisdom, as we try to be our child's voice of reason, and we'll finish up with a 15 in charisma. Blahaj is an internet sensation for a reason. He's extremely likable and relatable. Now Blahaj is of course a stuffed animal, so it only makes sense to make him a Muppet-born. We get +1 to our constitution and dexterity, and we're a small creature. Muppet-born are always partially obscured, so they get +2 to their AC, and are always considered to be in half cover. They also know 2 cantrips innately, Mage Hand and Mending, though both are slightly different than normal. Our version of Mage Hand can only lift 5 pounds instead of the usual 10, but it can go a number of feet up to 5 times our level. And we can use Mending to heal ourselves for 1d8 HP once per day. We get more uses as we level up, 2 uses at 5th level, 3 at 10th, 4 at 14th, and finally 5 uses per day at 18th level. Muppet-born can pick one of 3 subraces, and since we're a shark, we are very clearly of the animal subrace. That boosts our wisdom by 1, gives us advantage on animal handling checks related to sharks, and lets us communicate with them. Then once we hit 3rd level, we can communicate with non-shark animals that are similar to sharks, and we can cast Beast Bond once per nap without a spell slot. Oddly enough, there isn't a background for internet-famous Swedish shark, but Folk Hero feels pretty close, so we'll use that to get proficiency with animal handling and survival. Then we'll start off as a Paladin, giving us proficiency in Persuasion and Insight. With our Divine Sense, we can sniff out any monsters, using our action to tell if there are any fiends, celestials, or undead within 60 feet, a number of times per day equal to 1 plus our Charisma modifier. Then we can use Lay on Fins to heal our kid. We get a pool of points equal to 5 times our Paladin level, and can touch a creature as an action, expending any number of points to heal for the same amount. Alternatively, we can spend 5 points to cure our kid if they get a cold. However we end up using the points, they all come back when we go to bed. At 2nd level, we'll pick up Blessed Warrior to grab 2 cantrips from the Cleric list, which will be Guidance and Resistance, to add a d4 to our kid's ability checks and saves respectively. For Paladin spells, Heroism keeps our kid from being frightened, and makes them a little bit tougher, with a few temporary HP that refresh every round. And who among us has not had a wedding between our toys and stuffed animals? Well, Ceremony lets Blahaj officiate, so our G.I. Joes and Barbies can live happily ever after. Or we can just burn spell slots on Divine Smite, in case the monster under the bed starts to cause problems. 3rd level Paladins are immune to disease, which, great, children are not the cleanest of people, and we can take the Oath of Redemption. We learn Sleep to put our kid down for a nap, and Sanctuary to keep attacks from hitting them unless the attacker passes a Wisdom save first. We can also channel Divinity once per nap, choosing between 2 options. Emissary of Peace uses our bonus action to give us +5 to our Persuasion for 10 minutes, then Rebuke the Violent can punish anyone who doesn't play nice. When an attacker within 30 feet of us hits a creature other than us with an attack, we can use our reaction to force them to make a Wisdom save. On a fail, that attacker takes radiant damage equal to the damage they dealt with their attack, half the damage on a success. Our first ASI will go to our Wisdom and Charisma, rounding them off to 14 and 16 respectively, then Extra Attack lets us attack twice with the attack action instead of once. Next up, we get 2nd level spells. Our Oath gives us Calm Emotions, to cuddle with our child and keep them from being charmed or frightened, as well as Hold Person to keep the bad guys in place so our kid can hit them. It's kind of like T-ball if you really think about it. There's also Magic Weapon, so any stick our kid picks up off the ground can really be the sword that they imagine it to be. At 6th level, we get Aura of Protection, lending an emotional boost to creatures within 10 feet of us that adds our Charisma modifier to any saving throws they make. And at 7th, our Aura of the Guardian lets us take damage in our kid's place. When a creature within 10 feet of us takes damage, we can use our reaction to magically take the damage instead. We can't shield our kid from all harm, they do have to make their own mistakes to learn, but we can take some of it since, we're easier to stitch up. Our 2nd ASI will keep rounding off our odd ability scores, so our Dexterity goes up to 10 and our Constitution goes up to 16. 9th level brings us 3rd level spells. Both spells here are Counterspell to say nuh-uh when someone is cheating, and Hypnotic Pattern charms and incapacitates creatures in a 30-foot cube if they fail a Wisdom save, as they stand there fascinated by the pretty colors. We'll also pick up Elemental Weapon as an upgrade to Magic Weapon, so our kid's Stick Sword can also deal a d4 of their preferred type of energy damage. At 10th level, we can comfort our child through the scariest situations, as our Aura of Courage makes us and any creatures within 10 feet of us immune to being frightened. That's really all I wanted from Paladin, so we'll finish out the build as a Bard. Switching into Bard gets us a free skill. I'll say Investigation, but feel free to pick a different one depending on how you play with your stuffed animals. Bardic Inspiration lets us encourage our child, giving us a pool of d6s equal to our Charisma modifier that we can hand out as a bonus action. A creature who has one can add it to one attack, ability check, or save that they make in the next 10 minutes. For Bard spells, we get 2 cantrips. First up, children can be messy, so Prestidigitation can clean them up a bit, as well as being able to reflavor any vegetables they might refuse to eat. And Minor Illusion can add a bit more realism to any games we play. In a similar vein, Unseen Servant can do our child's chores, and Silent Image can make bigger visual illusions than Minor Illusion, though it can't make sounds. At second level, we get Jack of all trades to add half our proficiency bonus to any ability checks we make that we aren't proficient in. And we get one of the most important abilities for a stuffed animal, Song of Rest, which makes naps extra refreshing by adding a d6 to any healing our allies get during them by spending hit dice. We get 2 expertises at third level, we'll go with Animal Handling and Persuasion, and we'll join the College of Eloquence. Our Silver Tongue means we always know what to say to make our child feel better, as we can't roll lower than a 10 on any Persuasion or Deception checks we make. And Unsettling Words lets us use one of our Bardic Inspiration dice with our bonus action to reduce a creature's next saving throw by the amount rolled. I don't know about you, but I'd be pretty unsettled if my Blahaj suddenly started talking. With our next ASI, we'll bump Charisma to 18 for better, well, everything, really. Better Aura of Protection, more Bardic Inspiration uses, higher save DCs, etc, etc. Then for our cantrip at this level, Dancing Lights can serve as either backyard entertainment, or just as a nightlight in case our kid is afraid of the dark. 5th level bards get Font of Inspiration, so our inspiration dice refresh on naps, not just at bedtime, and our inspiration dice become d8s. We also get 3rd level spells at this level, like Leomin's Tiny Hut to build a fort, and Major Image for the best illusory fun that we can have. Counter Charm at 6th level is a little bit superfluous since we have Aura of Courage to make our child immune to fear, but it does also give advantage on saves against being charmed, and it extends out to 30 feet so we can still shore up our kids' courage if they're outside of cuddling range. Eloquence bards can also make themselves understandable to any creatures with universal speech. We can use our action to let a number of creatures up to our Charisma modifier understand us for up to 1 hour, regardless of what language they speak. There's also Unfailing Inspiration. If our kid expends our Bardic Inspiration die and the roll still fails, they don't get discouraged and they can hang on to the inspiration die until they roll it and the check succeeds. 7th level brings us 4th level spells, but there aren't really any that I'm interested in, so at 8th level we'll grab the Lucky feat. We could cap off our Charisma instead, that's totally valid, but Lucky just has that feeling to me of a kid who's just making something up to get their toy out of a tough spot, you know? For 5th level spells, what kid hasn't made an army of their toys and stuffed animals? Well, Animate Objects lets us reenact that for real, as we bring up to 10 plushies to life to follow our orders. And making illusions to suit our kids' imagination is fine and all, but with Dream, we can shape their dreams however we wish for the ultimate playtime. And they'll even wake up extra refreshed, as our Song of Rest die goes up to a d8 at this level. Our capstone is the 10th level of Bard. We get 2 more expertises, Insight and Survival are good. Our Bardic Inspiration die bumps out to a d10, and we get to pick 2 magical secrets. Spells from any list that count as Bard spells for us. First up, Good Berry means we can always have snacks on hand for our kid, though they do provide enough nourishment for a full day, so we'll need to be careful not to spoil their dinner. And I suppose we should get some amount of actual shark in us, so Alter Self lets us either swim and breathe underwater, or gain a magical bite attack. Now that the build is complete, let's take a look and see what we have done. Well, we're really good at doing what we were designed to do, namely supporting our child. We aren't dealing much damage ourselves without burning slots for Divine Smite, but we have a multitude of ways to keep our kids safe and healthy, both mentally and physically. Whether that's our auras to boost their saves and help them overcome fear, or our abilities to boost their skills, feed them, or just give them a good night's rest. Pretty much any need our kid could have, we can help them with it, and have some fun with them along the way. Thank you for watching, friends. I hope you enjoyed the build. This video is in fact dedicated to my editor, Mark, who works tirelessly to get my videos out to you guys. Thank you very much, Mark. Still no poll this week, that hasn't stopped from being a thing, so if you have any feedback or suggestions for characters you'd like to see me build, please leave them in the comments below and they could show up in a future poll. Leave a like or subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks again for watching, I will see y'all later.